I'm very aware that I look quite kind of greasy right now, but I just want to video and talk, so let's get with it. To talk about the gender experience of lesbians and how I don't always feel quite like a woman, but I don't always feel quite non-binary, and I feel like something in between. It is the she-they dilemma. Let's start off with childhood. Let's start off with childhood. As a child, I was quite a tomboy, and then as I got into further education, you feel the pressure of dressing more like a girl. And then I eventually kind of came out of that and started dressing more like a boy again. And that's okay. I feel like that's not uncommon with a lot of lesbians, and it's okay to be totally femme, like femme to the feminist, or in between, or the butchiest butchers. All of that is fine and great, and as long as it like you feel comfortable with yourself in that moment and that time. But when I was trying to be more feminine, or even now, I still feel like I am performing womanhood really wrong. Like, I'm not doing something right. I am not being a good woman. I just remember as a teenager being hyper aware of what certain girls did and what they did and what I should do. And I'm not really being comfortable with it, enjoying more boyish things. But does that make me non-binary or not a woman? I don't know. I feel like I relate to the sort of non-binariness of that. Gender isn't real, but it is very real. Like, what does woman even mean? I sort of relate to the female experience. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the female experience is kind of traumatic. We have to kind of live in fear about getting hurt. The sort of conflict that arises within other girls and how girls are kind of pitted against each other. But I also recognise the beautiful dynamics that other women have, and how we as like a collective bond together and protect each other and can be like so loving and caring. And not all women, of course, but we have this, and I'm not saying it's innate either, we have this like sort of collective understanding of what it's like to be harmed, to be just experience womanhood in all these nuanced ways. So I'm wondering if this sort of womanhood, the experience of womanhood, could be actually extended to non-men and non-binary people, maybe. Because again, non-binary people, they aren't men. Not non-binary, they just aren't. They sort of are removed from gender, which I kind of relate to as well. And when I'm asked what makes you feel like a woman, I don't know actually. What makes me feel like a woman? I just am. I honestly feel like I am non-binary and a woman at the same time. Maybe that's it, and that's my lesbian gender solved. But no, I just think lesbians have obviously been characterized as masculine, or obviously in the past like in kind of predatory ways, and which made me insecure about accepting myself as a lesbian. But we're not predatory, and we see other like women, non-binary lesbians in like such beautiful lights, and we like understand their relationships completely differently to sort of cis-het dynamics. But I definitely harbour this fear of being over masculinized or seen like a man, because I relate to masculinity. I'm being quite boyish, tomboyish, but I feel like I'm maybe more feminine centre or a softer centre. But obviously, like, I think my main fear was when dressing more mask was that I'd be characterised as a man and as a predatory man, when that is not the case at all. And that also gives me dysphoria, the sense of being compared to a man, but also I kind of sometimes get dysphoria of being compared to femininely. Like, I don't want to be shapely or curvaceous, or I want to be androgynous. That has always been my thing. I love androgyny. I don't exactly know what that means in the terms of gender. And I think there is obviously a difference between androgyny and then there's like butch as well. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes I am kind of soft butch. Yeah, butch as a gender. Maybe that should be something that should be talked about. In a lot of reading, I've been doing reading sort of lesbian texts. And I don't know why my brain forgot all the authors, but Aud Lord, Leslie Feinberg, Adrian Rich, all and many. And sometimes butch people even like go under he, him pronouns, which I'm not sure, because of the time they were passing as male so they could be in these lesbian dynamics, or was it that they were actually like experiencing gender things? I know there was like a fine line between gender, but also I know there's plenty of very butch women who use she, her pronouns and that like thoroughly identify as women. are women, and they just show their womanhood in a different way to the sort of stereotype male gaze womanhood. And that brings me to the topic of, is most of womanhood, what we think is womanhood, actually shaped, what a correct woman is that shaped by the male gaze? And how actually, if we left it to women, how would womanhood look like? Would womanhood be a bit more open? Would it be a bit more fluid? Would we not have these strict ideals of what a woman should be? A woman should be a mother, a woman should be a carer to their husband, should be feminine, pretty, never sloppy. Or if we had actually a more female gaze, would that open up the range of how womanhood is and how we express it? And I'm going to be honest, I probably need to do more reading into like non-binariness and gender. I mean, gender is a very complex thing, but it's also a very social thing. And it can be almost an oppressive tool to put people in boxes. But also there are real struggles, and we are profiled in life through gender. So it's very real. It's just interesting that I, as a more masculine lesbian, have been perceived actually as non-binary, or well, I could be, I don't know. I feel like, again, I'm like in between womanhood and non-binary. I felt like I grew up as a girl, but I don't feel like a woman. But is that because of social norms, or is there like a genuine sort of non-binariness to it? So I'm interested to hear, what does non-binary exactly mean? And if you're a lesbian, or you like women and are like from that side of the that side of the spectrum, what do you identify as? And is it possible for lesbians to be, I mean it is, but I don't know, how does the lesbian non-binary dynamic work? Or is lesbians just women loving women? If that makes any sense? I feel like I am a lesbian. That is it. That is my gender identity. I'm signing off on that, for now anyway.